The night. Everything changed. He thought he was coming home to peace, but instead of a hero's welcome, he walked straight into a storm he never saw coming. And when the truth came out, the entire town would be forced to choose a side. The Georgia air was heavy that evening, thick with the smell of pine and barbecue smoke, when Marcus Hale turned his pickup truck onto Cedar Ridge Drive, a street that once felt like safety. The houses looked exactly the same. Tidy lawns, porch swings, flags fluttering gently. But for Marcus, this wasn't just another evening. It was his first night home after 4 years away. 3 tours. 2 near-death calls. 1 folded flag he'd carried back to a mother whose son didn't return. And yet he had survived. His mama, Angela, had called him every week for months. "When you finally come home, baby, I'm gonna have that dinner waiting." And tonight, the house glowed with warm light, his father on the grill in the backyard, the sound of cousins laughing carrying through the dusk. Marcus pulled into the driveway, engine low, already picturing the hug from his mama, the relief of being where nothing could hurt him, or so he thought. Because before he could grab his duffel, a white SUV crept up behind him, too slow, too deliberate. The headlights flared in his mirror, flooding the cab of his truck with harsh white light. Marcus squinted, instincts on high alert. His pulse picked up. Not fear, habit. He'd spent too many nights in convoys overseas to ignore a vehicle creeping too close. The SUV didn't move, didn't pass, didn't even rev its engine. It just sat there, idling. Finally, the door opened. A man stepped out. Mid-40s, stocky build, shaved head, black polo tucked into khakis with the word security embroidered across the chest. A badge clipped at his belt caught the porch light, and below it, a holstered pistol. He didn't smile, didn't wave, he just stared, one hand resting near the gun like it belonged there. "Evening," he said, though the word carried no warmth. "You live here?" Marcus gripped the wheel, then slowly pushed the door open. He stood tall, shoulders squared, his dog tags clinking faintly against his chest. "Born and raised," he said evenly. "My folks live right there." He gestured to the house, where laughter spilled through the screen door. The man didn't even glance at the house. His eyes stayed on Marcus, cold, suspicious. "Name." Marcus exhaled through his nose. "Marcus Hale." The man took a slow step closer, his boots crunching against the pavement. "Step away from the vehicle." Marcus felt it then, the shift in the air. This wasn't curiosity, this wasn't safety, this was control. "What's the problem?" Marcus asked, keeping his voice measured. The man's lips pressed thin. "Break-ins last week. You matched the description." Marcus let out a humorless laugh. "You're telling me I came back from Afghanistan just to be profiled in my own parents' driveway?" From the porch, a voice cut through the thickening air. "Marcus, that you, baby?" His mama, Angela, stood in the doorway, dish towel in her hands. "Yeah, Mama," Marcus called back, though his eyes never left the man in the polo. Angela stepped closer, eyes narrowing when she saw the gun on his hip. "What's going on? That's my son." But the man didn't flinch. "Ma'am, I'll need to verify." Marcus had dealt with men like this before. Not in Kandahar or Mosul. Here, back home, men who wore small authority like it was armor. "Sir," Marcus said, his tone sharpening, "I don't know who you think you are, but I just got home. This is my parents' house." The man's name patch read D. Walters. He jutted his chin. Then it shouldn't be a problem to show ID. By now, the sound of the standoff had drawn eyes. Curtains shifted. A porch light flicked on across the street. Neighbors began to gather silently, sensing trouble. Marcus's father, Clarence, appeared at the door beside Angela. "Excuse me, this is my son's homecoming. You got no business out here treating him like a criminal." Walters didn't blink. His hand still hovered near his gun. "Sir, step back inside." Clarence bristled. "You don't tell me to step back inside my own house." Marcus could feel the weight of it now, the tension thick as humidity before a thunderstorm. He took a deep breath, his soldier's mind cataloging every detail. Distance, stance, holster strap, the SUV still idling with its headlights flaring. "Look," Marcus said slowly, "I just want to walk into my house, hug my mama, eat dinner. I've spent 4 years overseas defending this flag. And now I've got to prove to you that I belong in my own neighborhood." Walters sneered. "Service or not, you still fit the description." Angela's voice cracked. "Description? He's my child." Walters ignored her. "Step out here, hands where I can see them." Marcus's jaw tightened. He wasn't in uniform anymore, but the training never left him. He kept his hands visible, calm, steady, but inside, anger boiled. This wasn't Afghanistan. This wasn't a hostile checkpoint. This was home. And yet, the enemy looked the same, authority without respect. The crowd grew, neighbors whispered, phones came out, cameras recording. A teenager whispered, "They did this to my uncle last month." Another muttered, "Always the same, man. Always us." Clarence stepped forward, fists balled. "You're making a mistake." But before he could say more, Walter's thumb flicked the holster strap loose. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Angela cried out, "Don't you dare!" Marcus's mind snapped into gear. He saw the tell, shoulders tightening, eyes narrowing, weight shifting. And then it happened. Walter's hand dropped to the grip of his gun. Too slow. Marcus moved. In less than 2 seconds, he closed the gap. His left hand snapped to Walter's wrist, twisting hard, while his right hand slammed down on the holster. Walter stumbled, off balance. Marcus pivoted, locked his arm across his chest, and yanked the pistol free. The crowd erupted. Angela screamed. Clarence shouted. But Marcus's voice was calm, steady, controlled. "Gun's mine. Back off." Walters struggled, but Marcus's grip was iron. Years of combat had trained him for exactly this moment. He stepped back, weapon in hand, muzzle pointed safely down. "You threatened me. In my parents' driveway. In front of my family." Marcus's eyes locked onto his. "And you thought I wouldn't know what to do." Walters's face flushed red. "You assaulted?" "No," Marcus cut in, voice sharp. "I defended myself from a man who tried to draw on me without cause." Neighbors shouted in agreement. Phones kept recording. Walter's authority had just crumbled under the streetlights. And then, sirens. Blue and red lights painted the neighborhood as police cruisers screeched to a stop. Officers piled out, hands near their weapons. "Drop the gun!" one shouted. Marcus raised his hands, the pistol dangling by the slide. "I disarmed him. He tried to draw on me." Walters yelled, desperate. "He assaulted me. He took my weapon." But a dozen voices rose at once. "No, we saw it. He went for his gun first. It's on video." The lead officer, Ramirez, scanned the crowd. "Phones down." But the phones stayed up. The truth was too important. Ramirez turned to Marcus. "Who are you?" "Sergeant Marcus Hale, U.S. Army. Just returned home." The officer blinked. "And you? Disarmed a security officer?" Marcus's eyes hardened. "No. I disarmed a man who thought pulling a gun on a black veteran in his own driveway was justified." Murmurs rippled. The weight of his words landed heavy. Angela gripped Clarence's arm, tears brimming. Clarence stood tall, pride and fury in his voice. "This is what they do. To us. Over and over. But tonight, they picked the wrong man." The next morning, the videos were everywhere. Veteran disarmed security and racial profiling standoff. Black soldiers' homecoming interrupted by gun threat. News vans lined the street. Neighbors came forward with stories. Delivery drivers harassed, teenagers stopped, elders humiliated, every one of them black. Marcus hadn't just defended himself. He'd exposed a system. The HOA scrambled, claiming Walters was just doing his job. But the videos told the truth. The police report backed it. The community rallied. And for the first time in years, neighbors felt a spark of hope, because Marcus wasn't backing down. He organized meetings in living rooms, gathered testimony, connected families who thought they were alone. And little by little, silence turned to courage. Within weeks, the board faced legal pressure. Walters was stripped of his position. The HOA was forced to answer for its practices. But the real victory wasn't paperwork. It was voices. It was a community that finally said, enough. One warm evening, weeks after that night, Marcus sat on the porch beside his parents. Kids biked down the street, neighbors waved. The same block that once felt suffocating now felt alive again. Clarence handed Marcus a glass of tea. "You know, son, you could have just let it go. Let the system handle it." Marcus shook his head. "I could have. But systems don't change unless someone forces them to. And sometimes it starts in your own backyard." Angela squeezed his hand. "You gave them their voices back." Marcus looked down the street, where a neighbor's kid rode with no fear in his eyes. "They already had voices," Marcus said quietly. "They just needed to be reminded they could use them." The cicadas buzzed. The sun dipped low. And for the first time since stepping onto Cedar Ridge Drive, Marcus felt peace. Because this wasn't just his homecoming, it was the beginning of something bigger.